create cooking classes to help her students foster creativity, independence, and confidence in the kitchen. Romi believes the kitchen is like a playground, a place to experiment, learn, and have fun. And she invites anyone who wants to experience the joys of baking to get messy with her. So I'm so glad that this evening we'll have the chance to cook along with Romi. I want to thank our sponsors, the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, who are funding this program through their incubator grant. And I also want to let you know that throughout this program, especially since some of us will be cooking along, we're encouraging you to ask questions as we go. And you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question or put it in the chat, and I'll stop Romi so that we can answer and be on the same page. So please don't hesitate to stop us. And I also want to say that we'll be sharing with you a recipe for this challah. So don't feel like you need to be taking some intense notes. We'll be sending that along in the next day or so. Without further ado, please welcome Romi Naparstek.
Hi everyone. So thrilled to be here today. Okay, so we are gonna get started and hoping you can cook along with me. And like Luna said, feel free to interrupt me at any time, ask me any questions. I rather want this to be more of a conversation than just me talking the entire hour, because I'm sure your questions and your thoughts are gonna enhance the conversation, and it will be great. Okay, so we're gonna get started. While Luna and Nancy were talking, I went ahead and mixed in the sugar and the orange zest. Why did I do that? I did that because when the orange zest is mixed with the sugar is able to absorb the flavors. By then, it will give more flavor to your bread, okay? So that's for me something very, very important to do at first. And then I have warm water, a cup of warm water with yeast that I'm going to mix, okay? So let's talk a little bit while I mix this very, very quick. I like to use a fork. You can see I'm using it more like as a whisk, sort of. That way it will bring air into the water and it will help the yeast dissolve.
So Romi, how much yeast are we mixing into the cup of water?
Yes, you are mixing 2 teaspoons and a quarter or an entire small package. Like if you bought those like packages, it's 7 grams. You can put that in there. Okay. I'm glad, Luna, you asked that question because it's gonna take me to my next part that I wanted to share. I like to give recipes. I like to cook using grams, and I use a kitchen scale. Kitchen scales are super affordable right now, and I'm happy to give Luna some links. So for when you guys get the recipe tonight, you'll get the links to the kitchen scale. Why weight and not volume? Well, the main reason is because weight, it's always gonna be consistent. Unfortunately, the cups have become a trendy item, and they vary a little bit in size, and that difference in size is what makes your baking products come a little bit different and not consistent. Also, sometimes we'll level the cup, sometimes we'll scoop and have the entire mountain. So if you always cook by weight, you know your recipe is gonna be always consistent. You know, day after day you're gonna do it and you're always gonna get the same outcome. Okay, so I mix my water and the yeast, and it's still not foamy, which is fine. So at home, what I suggest, today I have all my ingredients ready, but if you're just joining in, one thing that you can do is you get your water, you get the yeast, and then you measure all the other ingredients. So by the time you finish measuring all your ingredients and getting them ready, the water is gonna be, the yeast is gonna be a little foamy, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna accelerate the process of proofing of your bread rising faster. If not, you're gonna see today, I'm not gonna get to that, and it's totally fine. It just may take a few more minutes later on to proof. Okay, so I have my water and my yeast. I have my sugar. I'll pour the oil. It's a quarter cup of oil, 50 grams. And I always suggest that you crack your egg in a different bowl to make sure, A, that there are no eggshells in it, and 2, that your egg is not rotten and then messing up everything.
And wait, Romy, I'm going to interrupt again
Yes,
because I don't think you told us how much sugar we're mixing
Yes.
with
Okay.
how much zest.
Awesome. So I'll tell you all as we go. Perfect. We are mixing a quarter cup of sugar with 1 egg and a quarter cup of oil. Okay. And you whisk everything together. How much
Going to be... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, just a little bit of the orange zest that you have for later on. You take a little bit, maybe a teaspoon, and you pour it in there. There's no one exact amount.
And Romy, this is a little bit later on, but does this recipe work for a bread maker?
No. So bread maker machines require specific recipes. So this one, no, but this recipe, you can totally do it on your, if you have a KitchenAid stand mixer, you can totally do it there. Every Friday when I make challah, I make double batch and I make the same recipe in my KitchenAid and it's perfect. So, but no bread maker machine. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we have 3.5 cups of flour and 2 teaspoons of salt. When you pour the yeast and the water into the bowl with the salt, you want to make sure that it's on the opposite side of the salt. When the salt touches the yeast, it lowers the process of proofing. Of course, it's going to mix in, but as soon as you pour it in, you want to make sure that it's on opposite side. And you can see there that my yeast is not bubbly, it's not foamy, and it's totally fine. I'm not concerned. Mainly you put the yeast in the water, let's demidify that, to make sure that it's dissolved, okay? Not for anything else, not for becoming active. You just wanted to put it there to make sure that it blends in better. Okay, so I have all my ingredients in my bowl. And what I like to do, using one hand, I'm gonna use one hand, and with the other hand, I'm going to be turning the bowl as we go. Let me see if I can bend this a little bit more, 1 second, so you guys can see more inside the bowl. There we go. Okay. And I'll show the bowl like this. So one hand, I'm going to be doing this movement, like the hook of the KitchenAid. If you have a KitchenAid, that's something very important, that you use the hook. Do not use the paddle or do not use the whisk. When we are making bread, we use the hook, okay? The hook, because of this movement, it will knead the dough, okay? So one hand in, I'll start kneading my dough. And you don't want to squeeze like this, you just want to go around. By squeezing, the dough is going to get stuck to your hands. And by kneading, you're just mixing out the ingredients, okay? So you can see I'm always turning the bowl. And I pick up from the bottom the crumbs that are not mixing, and I'm squeezing in, right? I'm making pressure down. I'm not squeezing between my fingers. Okay. I can already smell the orange zest in my bread. So
and how much zest are we putting in?
What is it?
How much zest are we putting in?
1 teaspoon.
1 teaspoon. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So my dough came together, and I'm going to bring it to the counter for the kneading. You can see there, it's still very crumbly. It has a lot of flour loose, but I bring it to the counter because the kneading is gonna be so much better than doing it on the bowl. You have more space. So the first thing I do is clean my hand. The cleaner your hands are, the less the dough is gonna stick to it. So it's very important. If you feel like your hands are extremely dirty and you're trying to scrape them down and it doesn't come out, one thing that you can do is put a little flour and you scrape your hand, and that helps, or wash them with water and start the kneading process with the hands as clean as possible. Okay.
Romy, this is
Yes.
Nancy, sorry. If you're using the KitchenAid, how much kneading do you have to do once it comes out of the bowl?
Okay. So maybe it's around 5 to 10 minutes. If you do the right kneading technique, you're gonna see that the dough comes together very easily. The dough, it's gonna be tacky, but not sticky. Okay, so there's a difference there. So here's my dough, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch the dough, and yes, your dough is gonna break, and that's totally fine because as it breaks, the crumbs are gonna get in there. So you fold it and you twist. You stretch, you fold, and you twist, and you can see that as the more you do it, your dough starts building resistance, and that's the gluten that is developing. But also it means that all the ingredients are coming together. So you can start seeing that I have less and less crumbs around my dough. Okay, I stretch, fold, and twist, stretch, fold, and twist. And you don't need to make strength. You just need to do very easily with the palm of your hand, the bottom part of your palm. You're gonna stretch, you fold, and you twist. You stretch, fold, and twist. And you do this maybe for a 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how you see your dough, right? Today I'm doing it very slowly because I'm showing you and I'm also talking at the same time. But my dough is coming together. Look, I don't have, this was already loose. I don't want it, but can you see my dough, right? It came together. It's not smooth. For smoothing the dough, it's a second step, but it's good. It has elasticity. It's tacky. It's not sticky, which means all the ingredients are stuck together. And look, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna clean my hand. So I have a clean hand. And you can tell that when I press down, just a tiny bit of dough, and I twist. So it means that the dough, it's good, right? It's ready. Okay, any questions? Luna, are you seeing people cooking along?
I see Margot's cooking along. I think Nancy may also be cooking along. But please, if you're cooking along, let us know so we can, you don't have to show us what your kitchen looks like, but we'd love to hear.
But I love to see people's kitchens. So if you want to open your kitchen to us, I will love that. Okay, so one more time, I'll stretch, turn, and fold. And my dough is ready, okay? So I'm going to turn it into a ball. And you can see I'm turning the dough on its own and using the counter to seal, okay? And we want to seal the dough, right? Look. So when it rises, the air won't escape it, okay? So the second part for the kneading, you're gonna project like a V on your counter and moving opposite sides, it's gonna smooth your dough, okay? You do this for a few minutes, as much as you see your dough smooth. I'll show you now mine. And if you feel like it opened up a little bit, you can seal it again. You roll it for a few more minutes. There. Can you see how smooth it is? It's shiny, it's not sticky, look. And with the seam that you just created, you're gonna put it down on your, you can use your same bowl, it doesn't matter. And what is very, very important, I'm sorry, I'm stepping out of the screen for 1 second, is that that you put a little bit of oil on it. It's just a drop, it's not much, and you spread it around. Why? You don't want the dough to create a crust on the top. When the dough is resting and proofing, if it's not grease, if it's not egg wash, this kind of dough will make a small crust, and that crust is not good for baking, okay? If it happens at home, I would say cook it anyways, don't throw it out. But ideally, you may want to assure that that crust doesn't build up. What type of oil do you use? It really depends. Sometimes most of the time I use olive oil, but sometimes I use grapeseed oil or a soft oil like canola or vegetable oil, okay? Because this is just a tiny, let me see if I can show you there. A tiny drop that I'm putting there. My hands, I just make sure to put it all around. I move the bowl. And I'm gonna add a tiny drop more because I didn't get to the bottom of it. Okay. And ideally at home, you guys are at home, but ideally when we are not rushing in an hour to do an entire challah recipe, you let this dough rise for an hour to 2 hours. For me at my house with a temperature on 76 Fahrenheit, I let it rise for an hour and a half, and it's amazing. So the magic of TV, I have a dough ready. I'm gonna cover this, put it to the side. And I have.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
What is the yeast supposed to look like now?
The yeast supposed to look where?
What is it supposed to look like? I had it in a separate dish, the yeast with the warm water.
Yeah. Well, when I pour mine, it was kind of like a light beige color.
Yeah, but mine looks very thick. Does that mean it doesn't have enough water?
Did you put a cup of water into it?
A cup of water. What? Oh, I thought, okay. It's a cup of water and then a packet of yeast.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Wait. If you're ready to put your yeast into the dough, what you can do is add whatever water you are mixing to your flour and pour that yeast in there, and it's gonna be fine.
Okay, say that again. So no, I didn't do that yet. I'm behind you. Okay.
No, that's fine. That's totally fine. You have, let's say you put a quart of water and you mix it with the yeast, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now you are mixing 3/4 of a cup of water. So pour the water into the flour bowl and pour the yeast and water into the flour bowl and keep mixing the recipe.
Okay, but should the yeast have been bubbling?
No, mine wasn't bubbling. You don't need to be bubbling. Just want is dissolving the water for better addition for better integration into the dough.
Okay, because this yeast packet I have says 1/4 of an ounce of yeast.
It's fine.
Okay.
That's fine what you're using.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
So this is the dough that I made earlier today, an hour and a half exactly ago. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour it into the counter. And look, you can see it's fluffy, it's deflating. Okay. Okay. While we do this, I got excited over Sunday and Monday about this class, and I got my brain work going, and I changed the recipe a little bit, and Luna's gonna send it today to you, but I wanna show you something different than what you have on paper already for the filling for the challah. For today, the steps are gonna connect, so you'll see. Give me a second so I can show you. But I wanna show you how to make a cranberry jam. Okay. Don't get scared. this cranberry jam was done in 10 to 15 minutes. I just bought fresh cranberries that nowadays you can find them anywhere in the supermarket, but if you don't find them, you can use frozen cranberries by all means. I mix a little bit of dry cranberries, brown sugar, the zest of the orange, and orange juice. Okay, so one orange, it takes you the entire way. So while we do the challah, I'm gonna get those ingredients going here. And Luna, I'll send you all the right numbers, the right ingredients, measurements for you to give out to people. But so everybody knows I have the brown sugar right here, right? Am I talking too fast? Is everybody doing well? Can everybody give a thumbs up, either by image or on the chat, so I know everybody's doing good?
You're doing
Luna?
fine, Romy. You're doing
We're doing
fine.
fine. Okay.
I have,
awesome.
we're using the transcription at the bottom, but some of the transcriptions, because your accent, are really very funny. But you're always adorable. That's okay.
Thank you.
How many of these classes have you done for the museum over the years? A lot.
Wow. A lot, maybe 15, 10,
Yeah.
15. Yeah.
Romy is our favorite baker.
Oh, and you guys are my favorite museum.
You got to meet your little boys.
Yes, next class in person, I'll definitely bring them.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
So,
So I
Romy,
have
when
sugar.
we, as we get ready to make the jam, are you gonna walk us through step by step so people
Yes.
can follow along?
Yes, 100%. That's
Amazing.
just what I'm about to do. So I have my brown sugar. I have dry cranberries and fresh cranberries mixed in, right? I put them together. I'm going to add the orange juice, okay? And I'm going to add the orange zest. Okay, talking about graters, these are the microplane. I'm gonna show you. I don't know if anyone knows them. Are the best and the greatest grater in the world. I highly, highly recommend them. I don't know if you saw how I removed the lid from it. So when you store it on your drawers, you put it right there so you don't get hurt or anything. And then when you're ready to zest, it clicks on the opposite side. So when you zest it goes straight into it. So it's the easiest thing to do, and I love it. Okay, so on medium-high heat, I'm just gonna mix a little bit for the ingredients to get together and the sugar, so make sure the sugar won't burn. And we are going to let it cook for, last night it took me 15 minutes on the dot, okay? I didn't use this heater, so maybe today will take me 17, I would say, because this heater is a little bit slower. It's like a camping heater. But ideally, you will want to keep mixing until you obtain a jam sauce, right? A texture, okay? And then you pour it into a safe container and you get it, okay? So we have the sauce going. I'll move it to the side, but I'll show you every time I wanna do something. And I like to do my challah on a 4-strand, okay? So I'm always when you cut your challah, you don't wanna tear with your hand, you wanna use something sharp. So it can be a dust paper, it can be a knife, but you don't wanna tear up your dough. Okay, because it's gonna break all the gluten that just developed. So I'm going to cut my dough into 4, try to do it 4 equal parts. I usually will scale it to make sure that they're really, really equal. Can you hear the bubbling from the jam? It's starting to bubble, so I lower the heat. And as you go, you're gonna mix here and there, you're gonna stir, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna roll the dough into some balls. Okay, and you can tell it's not equal at the different sizes, but it's all good. And it's like doing cinnamon rolls. I don't know if anyone have ever done cinnamon rolls. Very, very easy. We're gonna get our first piece of dough. I'm moving things to the side, so I have space. Using a rolling pin. Okay, let's talk about rolling pins. Marble rolling pins are beautiful, are a great item to have in your kitchen, to display around your kitchen, but the truth is that they're very, very heavy to use, okay? Wooden rolling pins, and this one, if I tell you, it has maybe 25 years in my mom's house. I don't know if I'm short with 25 years. Wooden ones are good. They are more for rolling like nursery, like croissants and that kind of pastries. But if you are in a budget and you don't want to spend much money on a rolling pin, you can go to Home Depot and you can buy those PVC pipes. They sell them maybe this length, and they are great rolling pins. I would not be lying to tell you that in the most famous bakeries, that's what they use as rolling pins, because they're easy to wash. You know, you can put them in the dishwasher, you can rinse them with water, and they're solid enough and they're easy to clean up, okay? So I have my rolling pin.
Margot, do you have a
Can you
question?
repeat that about the rolling pin? That was easy instead of using marble. I'm sorry, I missed that.
Pipe.
It's a sacred place to lots of people.
What?
I'll use it in,
The rolling pin.
I think it's okay to use it in all the ways, as long as we're respectful of this.
If you don't want to use marble, what should you
Yeah.
use?
If you don't want to use marble, you can use a wood rolling pin or a PVC pipe from construction. You can get it at Home Depot. They're pretty much the same length, but they're plastic and they're super light and they're the perfect size for rolling, okay?
Oh, okay.
So I'll send you links and pictures, and I promise Luna will send you a full email today with all the. Okay, so you want to roll your dough into a rectangle, right? And to do that, you're gonna turn your dough 90 degrees every time, right? So you're gonna go from horizontal to vertical and vertical to horizontal, because if you would move it like a clock, your dough will start getting more rounded than rectangular, okay? And you can help yourself a little with your hands if your dough is creating some resistance. Has anyone ever done cinnamon rolls?
We actually did a cinnamon roll challah last year.
Nice. I recently did one for a religious school. Okay. Look, I want to show you inside my pot. Can you see? It's still very. Let me move this part. There. It's liquidy, right? Some of the cranberries are starting to pop. And the smell is beautiful. So I think it's only been 5 minutes. We're gonna let it keep going for a little bit. Okay, I have my dough ready for my first one. I like to use an offset spatula, but if you don't have one at home, you can use a butter knife or the back of a spoon to spread it, or a rubber spatula, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and spread maybe 2 tablespoons of jam into it. And you can see my spatula. I like to leave 1/4 of an inch on the edges without jam. because usually the jam on the oven, due to the heat, it would spread out, and that way you make sure that you have the less mess possible. Same thing when you do cinnamon rolls. You want to make sure that you leave some space into it. Okay, let me move this down. But can you see the dark spots on the camera? That's between dry cranberries and the lumps of the fresh cranberries. Okay, I actually made a mistake, and I want to have the long side facing you, and you're gonna roll it. Okay. And when you get to the end, using the bottom part of your palm, you're gonna seal it, making sure that the jam won't escape. Okay. So, and the same thing on the ends, right? I close one and I close the other, and we're gonna leave it to rest. We're gonna keep going. Luna, how are we doing with time?
We're doing great. We're about 7:35.
Okay, awesome. You make it look so easy. I promise it's so easy. This is a proof recipe for everyone. I have done this recipe on the go. I have done it with kids. I have done it with seniors. I have done it with young adults and anyone in between. And the recipe, there's no science, and there's like basic ingredients, right? So it's super easy to do. Okay, I want to show you again the jam. Oh my God. I'm gonna tilt the pot, and I want to show you how, if I go like this, it doesn't get together. It's fine. Let's leave it away. It doesn't get together so fast, right? See how it's slowly coming together in the middle? That means that the jam, it's getting, like the mixture is getting into a jam consistency, okay? So at
Romy,
this point,
I have a question.
yes,
My kids, one of my kid is a vegan and they're not eating eggs right now. Can you use the egg substitute in the recipe instead of a whole egg? Have
okay.
you ever done that?
I have never done that. I would assume that if you follow the instructions of the equivalent for an egg recipe, it will work. I'm not 100% confident. I'm actually gonna tell you, try it and let me know. It's tricky. You might have to add a little bit, maybe more flour, because the egg substitute, it's more liquidy.
Right.
Okay. So be ready, if that's the case, to add a little more flour. It's totally fine.
I have to do the same for my potato latkes for Hanukkah.
Oh, but the potato latkes is gonna be easier because it's the flour is gonna make them together, and it's just a little bit. You know that it's very little that it goes into each latke. The dough is basically the magic that brings a lot of the dough together. But I'm sure if you follow the recipe for egg substitute, you'll be able to get it. Okay, so I'm doing again my second roll.
Are you using more dough than the recipe calls for?
No, I'm doing exactly what you have.
But hers has had the time to rise. So hers has risen for an hour and a half. That's why our dough might
Yes.
not be as thick.
Oh, yeah,
Fluffy.
because it doesn't. So wait, after we do the dough and we knead it, we cover it with like a towel and put
Yes,
it to
so-
the side?
No, you roll it, you knead it, you put oil on the top of it, and then you cover it and let it rest.
For how long?
Ideally, I would say an hour and a half.
Okay. But you don't do it overnight, right?
Well, if you're gonna do it overnight, I would suggest that you put it on the refrigerator.
Have you ever done that?
Yes, and it's totally fine.
Just to put the oil on, cover it and put it in the, okay.
Yes, you put it on your refrigerator, and the next morning, maybe take it out half an hour before you're gonna start kneading, braiding, That way, the dough is gonna come to room temperature and it's gonna have better flexibility to shape it.
Okay.
And actually, you can even break the dough and leave it in the refrigerator overnight. One second, let me finish. Let me show you this. So here, the jam is ready. Look, I move, and it's thick, and it comes together. So this is ready. I'm gonna turn that off. I'm gonna put this over here, and I leave it there so it cools down. Okay. So I'm on my third. Oh, so I was telling you about the dough overnight. You can break your challah and leave it overnight on the refrigerator, but I would suggest that no later than as soon as you wake up to put it in the oven. And if you're gonna put it in the oven right away, that's totally fine. You don't need to let it come into room temperature to be able to knead it because it's already braided. You can put it in the oven to 350 and you can braid it right out.
I think I'll try to do it all tonight. Might be
Yes.
easier if I just let it rise tonight.
Well, if you let it rise tonight, and the thing is, you're gonna have to wait after you braid it. I let it rise for another half an hour, hour and a half. So if you don't wanna wait that second hour and a half, I would say put it in the refrigerator and you cook it the morning after.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so almost the last one. And you can see the offset spatulas. If you like cooking, it's a great tool to buy and add into your utensil bucket. It makes the spreading super easy. You can see that as I roll it, I push a little bit back and I roll it to create more tension and more expansion of the dough. Okay, I seal it again, seal the sides. And you're gonna see that when you do this, you're gonna feel the air, and that's fine because it's the pocket of air that we create as we are putting the jam into it. Okay, so if you're not doing the jam like I'm doing, but you are rather putting you wanna put as the recipe calls for, you are just rolling your dough like I'm doing, right? You're creating your rectangle. And instead of putting the jam, you're just gonna sprinkle the dry cranberries on it, the orange zest, and the brown sugar, okay? You
Romi,
seal it.
can you give us some measurements for that?
Yes. For the jam or the other one?
For the other one, the one that you're gonna do now.
For it's 3/4 of a cup. I'm looking, I have it right now. It's hard to remember. You put 3/4 of a cup of dry cranberries, zest from one orange, and half a pack of brown sugar. So don't use the same orange to take a little of the zest for the dough and you use the rest for the filling. It's totally fine. Okay, you don't need to worry that by putting just a little bit less, your dough is gonna have, your recipe is not gonna come as good. Okay, it will totally be fine. Okay, last one. Let's see, Nancy, when you braid your challah, usually how many strands do you do?
What happened? I'm sorry, what? 3. Although I remember you taught me how to do more. We did that with the braid, with the over
Yes.
the thing, with the.
How many do you do? You do 4, 3, 6?
Pretty much 3.
3.
But I love,
okay.
I've never seen this where you put the jam in like this. I just love this idea. Erin, and my daughter Erin is watching from Ocala, and we're gonna do
Nice.
this when she comes in after Thanksgiving. Aren't we gonna do this, Erin? With my grandson Miles, who's also watching.
No pressure.
No pressure. No, she's a great cook. She learned it
Okay,
from her
awesome.
mother.
Awesome. Where
We have a
else,
lot,
right?
we have another mother-daughter on tonight. We have Luna and her mother Carol is on as well.
Awesome.
2 mother-daughters.
It's
Well,
a great family cook-along activity.
I know. I love that. Have you ever seen that with the jam in the middle? I think that's such a great idea.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to say I'm here with my son. We were making it together.
Okay, I love it.
Awesome.
That's
Amazing.
awesome.
Happy.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
It's a family affair.
Yes. Okay, so I have my 4 rolls together. Okay, this one is taking a little bit. And if you feel like with the palm of your hand, it's not closing like it's happening to me on this one, you can pinch it together. See, I'm pinching it right along the edge to close to make sure the jam won't come out. Okay, so I have my 4 strands. I'm gonna extend them just a tiny bit. One thing that is very important to remember when we make challah, sometimes people tell me, oh, I want to make those long challahs. Well, you want to make a long challah, you need to have a lot of dough. Because if you're going to stretch your dough so much to the side, your dough is not going to rise because it has been pulled to the sides. Okay, so that's something very important that you want to keep in mind. Okay, I would say like 12, 14 inches. It's 18 top. It's a good measurement for a challah because at least to me, it's more important that it's fluffy than it's long. Okay, and if you see, I don't know if you use Instagram or Facebook, but all over my feed, you can see my challah, and it comes super, super fluffy, and it has a great size. And I don't like this. This is the length, okay, and it's 12, 18 inches. Okay, so I'm gonna re-roll one more time to expand all of them because they have been proofing since they've been resting. And you can see that some of my jam is ready to come out, and it's totally fine. Okay. Let's talk about either parchment paper or silicone mats. Both options are totally fine for when it comes to baking. I know that the cons of silicone mats, it's the cleaning, but for me, the cons of the parchment paper is environmentally wise. It's a lot more of trash that we're bringing in, and I prefer to clean it than to throw it out. So for me, it's a personal decision, but both options are totally cool, okay? And also like silicone mats nowadays are more affordable than what they were like maybe 5-10 years ago. Okay, so I have my 4 strands almost ready. And you can see that like I'm not pulling when I'm stretching to the side. I'm putting equal pressure and moving to the sides, right? That way it expands without tearing. Because when it tears, what's gonna happen is those tears are gonna show on your bread. It's the part that the bread that comes to the side, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna make a 4-strand challah. I'm gonna pinch on the top, okay? I'm gonna grab the 2 ends. I'm gonna cross over right over left, and I'm gonna put right in the middle, okay? And I know this is coming out and it's totally fine. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 from my right. I'm gonna grab the second from my right, and I'm gonna bring it to first, and first into the middle, okay? Again, I'm gonna bring the second, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna grab the second from my left, and I'm gonna bring it to first, and first to the middle. Okay, again to the right. I'm gonna bring the second to the right, to the first, and first to the middle. I'm pretty much there. I don't have any more room to go. And to make sure that your challah doesn't pop open on the ends, I like to bring them and put them underneath my challah. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna pinch that, and I'm gonna bring it underneath. And there's my challah, okay? I have my pan ready with my silicone mat. I'm gonna put it right on top, okay? And I'm going to egg wash it. I have my egg right here. I'm gonna crack my egg. And here for egg washing, there's lots of options. You can egg wash just the egg. You can put a little of sugar and a little of water if you don't dark the egg wash, if you don't like the egg wash so dark on your challah. Me, I think it's more of like time and look, and I like the way my challahs look. They're very brownish and shiny, and I think that's because of the shafty egg. So this is also an art supply brush. It's not a silicone brush. Silicone brushes are very, very, very rough on your dough. When you spread it, it tends to hurt your dough. So I like to use art supplies. You wash it as soon as you get it, and then you're ready to go. So I'm gonna egg wash my challah. And I won't cover it because it has the egg wash and it's gonna get stuck. But when you're ready to put your challah in the oven, right before you put it into the oven, you're gonna egg wash it one more time. You're gonna see that by then, the first egg wash is gonna be dry. So same thing done with the oil. The first egg wash is to prevent the crust from forming on top of the challah. And the second one, it's gonna more what's gonna give the shyness and the color into your challah. You can add sesame sticks like the one in the picture. You can leave it naked, and I think it's great because it already has a lot of flavor from the cranberries and the orange. Poppy seeds are also a great option. And some people like to sprinkle a little of mixed sugar with cinnamon and put it on top because cinnamon and cranberries go also very well together.
So Romy, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Right now, you've done this first egg wash. Are you gonna let it rise again and then you'll do the second egg wash? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm gonna let it rise now again for another hour and a half. And let's say in an hour and 15 minutes, I turn on my oven. When my oven beeps that it's ready, I egg wash it and put it back in the oven. And you wanna cook the challah for 30 to 35 minutes top, depends on your oven. But a good way to know, like if you're doubting, is it baked, it's not baked, like what's gonna happen? The best way to know is you grab your challah, you flip it over and knock it. If it sounds like hollow, it's ready, okay? But this challah, it's gonna rise so much. And if your house it's warmer than 76 degrees Celsius, maybe it's a little bit less. So how do you know when your dough is ready? First, your challah is gonna look like puffy and big and ready. And second, you can very, very gently with your index finger, you'll touch it and you'll see that the intent that it creates, it comes back. It doesn't fully comes back, but it pretty much comes back very well, okay?
And Romy, at what temperature, again, do you have to cook your
Yes.
challah?
You cook your challah at 150 Fahrenheit for 30 to 35 minutes.
You just cut out for how many?
At 350 Fahrenheit
Perfect.
for 30 to 35 minutes.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Okay, can you grow, oh, okay, after you cut the, all the dough in 4 pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then you're taking one and you're rolling it out,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay, how big should that be?
Maybe
Is it
12.
square?
No, a rectangular.
I mean, a rectangle, I'm sorry, a rectangle. It should be about 12 inches long.
Yes, 12 inches long by maybe 6 or 8.
Okay, and then you're putting on, but you've made your cranberries, you're adding the cranberries and then just rolling it, right?
Yes.
Okay. If it's it's not that thin then, right? So it won't fall
No.
through?
No, it's not very thin. And it's not gonna be very thin because it's dough and it has yeast and it has it while you do one and the rest wait, they're already proofing. So you're not gonna, you don't make it very thin either. You saw mine it wasn't thin. But I wanna show you, I'm moving to the side so I can hold better. There. It has already cooled down. See how it's not moving? It means that it has like there, like Challah consistency, okay?
Mhm.
On this one, I didn't, like yesterday at home, I had pressed my cranberries on the edge of the bowl while they were cooking. But today I didn't, and it's equally fine, okay?
Why not use bread flour?
Why not to use bread flour? You could use bread flour if you want. Bread flour has more protein than regular flour, so you might need to add a little bit more water to your mixture, but you can totally do it.
Okay, so now if you've mixed up, you mixed your dough and now you're just waiting, how long, you have to cover it if you want to try to do it, some of it tonight. So how long do you think it should be covered? How long do you have to wait tonight?
At least an hour, I would say.
At least an hour covered. So I should put a little oil on the dough and then cover it with a cloth.
Yes, a trick if you don't want to wait for that, like for that hour, one thing that you can do is turn on your oven. And usually ovens from where they have, if you have one of those regular ovens that they have like the electrical part on the top, they release some heat. So if you put your bowl close to there, like on the stove top, that heat is gonna fasten up.
No, I have a gas oven.
Okay, so well, but you can do it anyways because at least I had a gas oven and it had the electrical part on top where like I turned off top. So same thing, you can do it, you can still do it.
To just put it on, okay, so to
You
make
put
it
on
warm.
Top and to receive the heat of the environment, right? Turning the oven is gonna make your house warmer. So the closer it is, maybe instead of doing a full hour, you can do 45 minutes.
Okay.
But look, you guys can see that like I didn't pinch right my challah right here and it's already starting to open. So I'll probably like pinch it again and put it a little bit under to make sure that the jam is not gonna spread around my tray.
You don't get any more chance of this. You have to make it happen.
Do we have any final questions for Romi before we wrap up?
How can you adapt it to a babka?
You can totally adapt it to a babka. The thing with babka is because of the dough itself, it has butter and milk. So in one way, it's a completely different recipe. Although you can use this, let's say you want it for Shabbat and you want a part babka, I would say use the same recipe. And when you go everything the same thing, you roll your dough, you create the rectangle, you put the jam, you seal it. And when you seal it, you have like, right, your dough right here as a cylinder. You slice the dough in half, leaving a little bit of edge at the top so you won't tear apart, and you cross it over. Does it make sense?
Where's the chocolate pudding?
The chocolate pudding?
No, the chocolate, where's it put in?
Oh, instead of using the cranberry filling, you put the chocolate filling.
Same way.
Same way. Yes. Any other questions? No?
I don't think so.
Well, I would appreciate if you guys are baking and you can, if you share your challahs in the social media, that either you can tag me or at the bottom of the recipes, it's my phone number. I would love to see your pictures of your challahs. So please, 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 please share them with me. Even if it's today that you bake them, tomorrow or in a week from now. It always makes me happy to see the outcome of your products. So please share, don't be shy.
Thank you so much, Romy. For
Thank you.
walking us through this
Thank you
recipe.
so much for giving me the opportunity to teach. Thank you, the Jewish Museum, and you, Luna and Nancy, so
This
much.
was great. This was really great.
I want to thank our sponsor once again, the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, for tonight's program. And I do want to remind everyone, I will be sending this recipe, so don't be too worried. We'll have it in time for Thanksgiving. And the last thing I want to share is the final program of this series. It's not going to be a cook along, but it's going to be a cocktail along. We're going to have Jewish Cocktails lead a cocktail workshop, and it's going to be inspired by Festivals of Light. So it's called Get Lit, Menorahs and Martinis. I'm going to drop the link into the chat, but all of these drinks will be inspired by light and celebration, and we hope that you'll join us. Thanks again, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye so much.
Bye-bye.
Share your pictures.